Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll bring the regular council meeting for Tuesday, August 17th to order. If you'll all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So first item B, if I can get a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent calendar.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed. The next item is open forum public comment. This is for anything that is not on the agenda. If you want to bring, if anyone wants to bring that up at this time, we'll be given 5 minutes to do so. Okay, we'll close open forum. Department presentations, Public Works. Tom?
All right, good evening, everybody. Most of my annual review that I have this year is going to be kind of a video or a picture tour of the projects that we've done this year, which are primarily the new wastewater treatment facility and the station number 3. So obviously, everybody's aware of COVID and some of the things that that's done for construction. We've had delays on parts and issues with masks and stuff, but with all of that, the dry weather has been fantastic for construction, and I think we're actually ahead of schedule. They're kind of wrapping up a lot of it right now, although there are some valves for the spray field that I think are back ordered that we're waiting on. Next slide. So here you see the new pond, and it shows the water balance tests, barrels that are out in the middle of it. And we just got word about 2 days ago that that pond passed. It doesn't have a leak in it. So you remember some of the issues that we had with the original liner. They regrouped, put in a different liner, and it seems to be working just fine. So, next slide. So this is your entrance to the new plant now. If you're, for some of you that had been out to the facility before, you remember we had a gate closer to the maintenance buildings. Now this is moved out in front of the sewer plant. The access is more restricted now. There's a keypad on the left-hand side that will be used by contractors and others that need to access the site. And then my guys and I will have something that looks like a garage door remote that will let us in. And the next slide kind of shows the same thing. You can see the actuators, that electrical box looking thing right behind the gate there. Next slide. And the next couple slides show some of the landscaping around the pond. Obviously with the dry weather, where grass growing is not an easy thing, but they did a fantastic job with their straw net and stuff. I think it's going to come in good once it does start to rain. But even with as dry as it is, they put this all up in the last couple weeks, and there is some actually coming up, which is impressive. So next slide, please. So this one, I just wanted to show and kind of give credit where credit was due. The Eagle Construction has done a fantastic job, and so is our operator, Mike Wagner. One of the things that they've had to do because of these valves I mentioned earlier, they're back ordered, is we needed to spray some more water. We thought we were going to get the sprayed on the new field, but until these valves come, we can't finish that. So if you notice way in the back, it's kind of hard to see in this picture probably, but we are spraying in the back. So I want to thank those two for that. And the next couple slides, I'm kind of showing beginning and ending of it. So this is the north side of the blower building as it looked about a year ago. I want to show the next slide, Kiki. This is that same view from now. If you'll notice, the building is pretty much complete. You see the generator sitting in front of it, and all the siding is on it. The road has got its first lift of pavement on it. And this is the south side of the building as it was when the building was first being constructed, and back in December. And see, it was kind of a mess at the time, but if you look at the next slide, it's mostly finished now, and they're cleaning up. And it really looks like something now. So this is the backup generator. This is primarily to run everything in the new building, and the aeration blowers for the ponds, all the ponds. Oops. Back one if you can. Okay, so part of the project too was to renovate existing buildings. So both of these buildings were part of the original system built in 1991. And so what we've done is we've repainted doors and we've reshingled the buildings because they were shot. And if you remember our last council meeting, we also approved paving up to those two buildings. And so now you can kind of see that all that has kind of happened. The paving that we added is what's underneath that truck that's parked there. So, next slide. And these are the new aeration blowers. And so if you're ever out visiting Mike when he's working, and you happen to go in there, if you had been around when our old blowers were running, even outside of the building with the doors shut, you wouldn't stand next to the building to talk. They were that loud. These, you can stand right next to them, and talking in the voice I am now, you'd be easily able to have a conversation alongside of them. And these are the VFDs that run those blowers. Variable frequency drives. Their main function is to help us save energy. We can more precisely control the amount of oxygen that we're adding to the ponds with those. Plus they have soft starts and other things to help them maximize their efficiency. And they look just darn cool. Moving on inside that same building, if you were sitting on the south side looking to the north, the big door on the left is the wash bay. The construction crew has kind of used this as a staging for a lot of their parts and equipment as they were building the facility. You can see they still have a few things in there like a Mann lift and stuff, but this is what the new wash bay looks like. Next slide. This is the pressure washer and RO rinse for that. Next slide. And then this is a system we had added, the big tank on the right has a pump on it. And so what this allows us to do is we use a 2-inch hose so we can put a high volume of water to the truck we use for hauling all the garbage from downtown. When it gets done, usually it's full of milk and other nasties, so we can wash it out quickly. The other thing that allows us to do is pre-wet the salt to help it stick to the road better in the wintertime. Next slide. And refurbishment of the existing facility was a big part of the project. So I wanted to show this slide. If any of you had been out there before and saw what our turbine pumps look like before, you'll say, well, those don't really look all that different other than they look like they're painted, but those are brand new pumps. So I just wanted you to see that. The spray guns that you'll notice are out there that are doing the shot, that's the actual spray heads there. I threw my cell phone on top of it just so you can see a scale of how big they are. Next slide. from there, I move on to the new lift station number 3. This is as it appears today. Just kind of a general overview. This is the old lift station that I replaced. I didn't have a summer picture of it, so you got this one with the snow. And this is, if you were standing back at the lakeside looking toward County 77, this is the side of the lift station you would see from there. And this is a little bit more close-up view. So the electric panel on the far left, that's the actual control panel for the lift station. It controls the pumps, the alarm system. The panel on the far right is the switch gear for the generator, and the generator is the panel that you see in the background. This is inside the control panel of the new lift station. I joke a little bit, it's not quite the Enterprise, but it does have onboard computers in it, and it's fairly advanced compared to any of our other lift stations. It's pretty well set up for the future. This is another view of the switchgear for the generator. Just thought that might be of some interest to some of you. Next slide. And this is the odor control system. If any of you have been around for a while, you know how many complaints we've had about odors over the past several years, probably since the beginning of the sewer system. This system, when it's fully functional, should take care of most of that, although a lot of the improvements we've made with lift station 3 seem to have done a lot to reduce the odors already without this. And this is inside that, so you can kind of see the canister on the right is filled with a media that all the air passes through, and it's exhausted up that stack. And this is just a quick picture. There's a security light down there so that if our guys do get called out in the middle of the night for whatever reason, they can see, and it's just more of a safe location to work. Next slide. Moving on from there, most of you are familiar with that 13 has been reworked, and we didn't have a whole lot to do with it this year, although we did more so with the intersection last year. But I thought, much like when 18 was rerouted here, everybody was concerned what that was going to look like when it was done, and it turned out very nice in the fall. I think this is going to look a lot like that. This year, I think, promises to have a good leaf color situation, and this curve will probably be just absolutely gorgeous in another month. Next slide. And then, as everybody's aware, we've had lots, next slide, and lots, next, and lots, and one more of new developments. And it's kept us all hopping. I'm sure all the staff, Brittany, Jenny, everybody else has been involved. The workload has been tremendous. We've probably added more houses in 1 year than what I believe we've done in the last 14 that I've been here. So it's pretty impressive. Next slide. And then there's been a ton of little projects that I know I'm not mentioning here. This wasn't really a city project, but I just thought it was a point of interest. So this is a Swedish torch that we had at 4th of July at my place. So. Next slide. So going forward into 2022, that's my son Tommy from 2019, when last time we had serious snow. But so there's quite a few things that are going to be happening that I know of right now. Obviously, it's impossible to know everything that's going to happen. The first thing we're going to be looking at is our road standard. We're going to try to create a private road standard very similar to our public road standard. Our intention is to try to get really one road standard in the city. We've had a lot of complaints from citizens. I'm paying my property taxes, and you guys don't plow, you don't crack fill. So we're hoping to address some of those kind of issues with that. Many of you probably know Peter Mann. He's on our Public Works Committee currently, and he hasn't announced it officially yet, but I think he's going to be retiring from our committee this fall. And then, as John and I have discussed many times, we want to start looking at the sewer collection system and the roadway system and do a long-term study. Where are we going over the next 20 years or longer, if possible? Trying to figure out where the projects are going to be, where we think the city's growth will be. So we'll be working on that and probably more than in just 2022, but we'll hopefully be getting a good start on it then. And as you'll notice further into your packet, there's some information about the upcoming roundabout that we're looking at County 77 in Nokomis. I'm sure my department will be involved in that when we get a little further into it. Although from my pictures, you could see it was mostly finished. There are some things to wrap up with the sewer expansion. We'll be doing that. There's some adjustment for aerators. There's a second lift of pavement that has to be put down. We have to start transferring from the old system into the big new pond that's there. That'll all be happening in the next month to 6 months. So we're looking at constructing a new lift station 12. That's also something that's coming up further in the agenda. But as many of you know, there's some development that may happen on the east side of 371 near Schaefer's grocery store. So there'll be a need for another lift station to handle some of that growth that's going to happen. So we're doing a feasibility study with Seth to get a picture of what that looks like. So we'll be working, that'll probably be our big project for next year, similar to our lift station 3, and not quite as big as our sewer plant. So the other big project we will have for next year is the recycling site. This is still very much in its early stages of discussion, but we do have a concept for what that site would look like and how it would function. Currently, we're looking at that in the site of our gravel pit out near our maintenance facility. But all of that is still in flux. We do need to probably over the winter, we'll be figuring that out, where it's going to be, what it's going to look like. We'll be talking with the county as far as cost participation, both in its construction and its operation. Other parts of that, if any of you have been out to the site and seen where we keep the impound cars, it's overcrowded. It's not the most secure, and it's not convenient for moving vehicles in and out. So part of recycling site, we're going to look to address that and create a new impound lot. As you also may be aware, the police have always done a lot of their practice shooting out in the gravel pit. During the construction of the sewer pond, they haven't really been able to do that. We're hoping to reestablish that when we look at a new recycling site. Grandview's North Pine Addition is mostly, for our part of it, is I don't want to say it's mostly done, but the roads are in place and sewer mains are in place. Now it'll be if there's on sites that are needed and connections to the sewer as the homes go up. Water meters, this is kind of a carryover from last year. This will be ongoing, but we are adding more and more water meters to existing commercial connections. And with radio reads, it allows our staff to more accurately bill for sewer, gives an advantage to the businesses that are able to conserve water, that they're not paying as large a sewer fees. So that's a good project and one that we look to continue. And it may also dovetail into if we decide to build a water system that we've been exploring. And then finally, one of the other things we're going to be looking at is the safety of 371 and Smiley Road intersection near Subway. There's been some accidents there, and it ties in with some other projects that we're looking at, some backage roads to alleviate some of the traffic at the intersections, 371, 77, and 13. So we'll be working with the state and probably the county on that in the upcoming year. Next slide. So now I just threw a few extra pictures of the recycling as you see it now. And I think the next slide I have is some of why we're looking at a new site. We don't have very controlled access. It needs to be inside of a fence and probably have regular hours. So people don't do this to it. And then this is just a concept drawing. You can find a copy of that on the back wall there if you're interested in looking at it further of what we're thinking. If you have other ideas, thoughts, this is our first throw at it. This was developed in conjunction with myself and with Seth and our hauler waste partners, Eric Logie, and my guys have entered, their thoughts into how this should work too. So this is our first go at it, but I'd say it's a good first look at it. So and that's it. If anybody has any questions or any comments, otherwise,
It looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Busy
thank
year.
you. You're gonna be busy again.
so it seems.
Thank you, Tom.
You bet.
Report, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, members of the council. The only update I have for you tonight is just that our Parks Director, Amber Moon Peterson, let me know that the ramp has been pulled at Nisswa Lake Park, the public water access, and the DNR is starting their project. So clearing and grubbing will start next week. And we look forward to a great new facility there at the access with parking and a really nice ability to get boats in and out and everything. So it should be a great project. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. City attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got no specific report here at this agenda spot. I have some things following on the agenda that I might be involved in, but nothing other than that to report unless there are questions of me.
None. Thank you, Tom. City engineer.
At this time, I don't have anything to offer, but I'm sure farther we do have some questions you'll have for me. If you have any questions now for certain things, I can answer.
Thanks. Okay, under new business, first item on the agenda, chamber application for fall festival.
I can take this if you'd like. The chamber has requested to use parts of City Hall Street as part of the fall festival. And there's a map in your packet to show what they'd like to do. They're setting up a new tent with the stage, and I think it's going to be a nice setup. Pam is here from the chamber if you have questions for her. Otherwise, I think everything is in your packet.
I'll make a motion that we approve the city street use permit application for the chamber as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Yep. Number 2, recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission or Planning Commission preliminary plat 01421.
So this is for the preliminary plat to subdivide I don't have it in front of me now. I believe it's a 16.1 acre parcel. The plan is to subdivide off 3 new parcels, giving a new total of 4. They do meet all the minimum standards as far as lot size, width, all that good stuff. They're non-riparian lots, and there's no construction planned on any of these lots at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move the preliminary plat of Alluring Pines West is presented by the Planning and Zoning.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And we have a recommendation from Planning Commission for rezone 1021.
Yes, this is to rezone a just under 6 acre parcel from open space residential to shoreland residential. With the large topography changes as well as wetlands, my guesstimation is that the subdivision that he's intending to bring forward will just be into 2 lots. I think getting more than 2 would be quite a stretch, just because we have a bluff on the southeast side as well as a very large wetland to the north.
Mr. Mayor, we should note that we did have one letter from a neighbor who was not in favor of this.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we accept the rezone application 010-21 the staff recommends and as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor Ryan, can I also have a motion to publish the ordinance summary for this? It's an ordinance amendment. So you can just
I make a motion to publish a
summary. ordinance.
summary.
Thank you.
I'll second that too.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Where are we at? Number 4, memo from the city. Where's my stuff? No. What am I missing? Three. Oh, what they did.
That's fine.
Okay, item 4, memo from city attorney at EAW for Nature Link Resort. This is the,
So this has kind of been an oddball situation. So I'm going to give you guys kind of some background information on how we got here.
Okay.
We did do the EAW, did all the publishings and notifications that were required. About a week after that, we realized that we didn't have the required NHIS report, which we were requested to provide by the DNR. We did send out an email right away to request that report. Several follow-up emails requesting, can we get a time frame? Can we get confirmation that you've received our emails? All went unanswered. And then we requested from the DNR the opportunity to waive the requirement of that document strictly because the project is a tear down and rebuild of same volume, same structure, not a ton of excavating, no shoreline work, nothing like that. And that email subsequently also was unanswered. So at this time, Mr. Pearson, the city attorney, and I have decided that we feel comfortable moving forward and we think we've exhausted all of our avenues for answer finding.
okay,
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we approve the EAW under Minnesota Rules, Section 4410, because the property is listed as an historical site, which required the mandatory EAW.
Can I interject there?
Mhm.
Well, and additionally, what we're looking for is that Brittany's EAW process be deemed complete.
Yes.
Okay. I'll add that on. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Be it a second.
Yeah, Mark seconds. Seeing none?
The only other thing I would add to that, please, is some determination from the council that following the EAW process, the council deems that there's no need for an EIS.
Which is like the next step in the process. If we found something that would have been alarming that we need to do further investigating, whether it be like an archaeological dig or something.
So there's no need for an
No.
EIS.
No.
That's a separate motion.
This came up as a mandatory EAW simply because of its historical nature. And we were really told by the relevant authority on that the RGU can make determinations with respect to that historical property. So it really was almost a technicality that came as an EAW in the first place. It's not a project in our estimation that would even get anywhere near EIS territory.
Okay. And that's just that you need that as a separate motion.
Please, yeah.
Okay. On the current motion and second, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then,
So I'll make a motion that is also the EIS is not required for this project either for this.
I'll second that.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now I'm at, where am I at?
Roy's Land.
Roy's Land. There we go. On this particular agenda item, there's been some very last minute information that was provided to us. And we know that both sides there are two sides to this, and we want to make sure that both sides are completely heard. And so what I would like to do, or what I'm asking to do, I would like a motion to table this item. Because of the arguments being made, I recommend a motion to continue the agenda. We're looking at August 31st, 5 p.m. We have a special meeting coming up already on the books. That both sides are given their time to present their points to the council, and then the council also has time to get the information, read it, understand it, ask questions if need be, so that we can make a good and truly informed decision. This is this is about an EAW that we didn't start, but we have to follow through with and make a decision on. So,
Mayor, if I may, we are on a 30-day time clock because the city council is going to make the decision about this discretionary EAW based on the citizen petition. So if it's not a person designated by the city and it's a board like it is here, then we've got a 30-day time clock running. So the need really is to be able to get a decision made on whether a discretionary EAW should be ordered or not. And that is going to be, first of all, staff has to make some study and some recommendations to the council in order to make a good decision. Plus, as you know, the citizens who offered the petition are going to want to speak to it. And I expect the developer is going to want to speak to it. And I expect that that is going to be quite the conversation. So thus the suggestion that we continue this agenda item off of tonight and to the night that you identified, or the time and the day that you identified.
okay. Yeah.
So the motion would be to continue this agenda item to
Until
that date.
Tuesday, August 31st, 5 p.m.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And memo from Planning Commission reference proposed ordinance change.
So as many of you are probably aware, we have 2 open seats on the planning commission, if anyone is interested. And so we've had a lot of interest from our business community, as well as other people telling me about people in the business community that would be great options. And so I kind of started thinking, well, why can't we have a business owner or lease operator, on our planning commission? So I would like to pose the question to the council on if this is something we'd like to consider. With that, I'd like to add the caveat that no more than 2 of the 5 seats may ever be held by non-residents, just to keep things with people with skin in the game holding the majority, so to speak. The Planning Commission did want to proceed with this, and I wanted to get your feedback because we didn't want to do all the legwork and then find out that this isn't something we feel comfortable with. So I'm kind of looking for some feedback from you guys on if you feel comfortable proceeding with something like this, or if we just want to keep it to residents and that's just the way we're going to proceed.
Start on this then, Don.
Well, I don't have a problem with having someone who has a business interest in town serving. I don't know if that should be two people for a number of reasons. As you know, planning and zoning has 5 members. If one member isn't there, they're sick, or they're gone on vacation or something like that, that means we have 4 members. If you have 2 business people and 2 regular residents, they can cancel each other out and motions can die and not go anyplace. I think it's okay to have a business person, but one person would be sufficient in my mind and still give us the input that we need. That's me.
Rob?
I guess I'm fine with 2. I think it's a good idea. I mean, the business owners and they pay taxes in this town and should, I think, have that say. I agree with the 2, and no more. I do agree with that, but I'm in favor of it.
I kind of agree with Don on the 1, you get the 2, could be a log jam. Maybe start with 1, see what happens. I know you have a hard time filling positions there. Start with 1, see how it works out. And then we can always progress from there.
I think it's a good idea. I share Don's opinion with the potential that there'd be 2 canceled out, but perhaps we could also look at changing the ordinance or adjusting the ordinance that the sitting council member, who now can only vote to make a quorum, could potentially be added to vote to break a tie. That would be something to look at too. But I think we're here. I think the businesses should have a seat at the table. And a lot of the businesses own property in town. And, you know, some of them, their business is renting those properties to other businesses. So, but I'm for it. I think it's a good idea. The actual number, I think that needs to be debated, the pros and cons. So.
Sounds good. I will get a draft to planning commission and have that before you presumably next month. I appreciate the feedback.
Was calling for a council action motion, but I think just feedback was sufficient.
Right.
Okay. We have number 7, we have a memo from Chief Taylor on the body worn camera audit results. Did everybody have a chance to look at it? Okay. It sounds like the only issue they had, I remember we saw this before, they have fixed. So
Do we have to approve this then?
If the council could accept the audit, that would be great.
I'll move to accept the body camera audit as presented by the chief.
I'll second.
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Change order number 9 from Eagle Construction on the wastewater treatment facility.
If Joe or Tom could speak to the items,
You want to
that'd be
tell-
great.
Can you tell us what's up
Yeah,
there?
change order number 9. This is the ways in the making, let's just say, so the smart Alan
Okay,
prior to me. So I'm gonna go through it a little bit. One of the things is a 4-inch class 5 base, added to this payment. 4,200 square feet that was added. I think this was discussed before.
This was that special email that Tom had requested. So, yep, you're aware of
Okay.
that.
Is provide install the PLC pump control panel. The pump control panel. Tom, you probably know a little bit more about that, number 2. For the irrigation, is to trigger the irrigation electronically,
It's,
so they don't have to go manually turn it.
yeah, it's technical, but Yes, it just makes it
Basically.
easier to operate.
Makes it easier to operate. They don't have to go out and move. The other one, the other two are just milestone dates. And I think that was because of the balancing that they extended that.
Some of it may have been to
On milestone one.
the valves I was alluding to earlier,
Yep. And then the valves that we're waiting
They're-
for.
delayed manufacturing delays.
That's in the amount of 25,248.24. Any questions? Any questions that I can't answer?
I have two questions. I'm looking at the change order for the PLC controller and Rainbird controller. An increase of over $18,000. Didn't you normally have a controller and of those? Why are we doing something special here for that amount of money?
I believe because those are normally done manually.
So we're paying $18,000 so we can push a button instead of turning the dial?
You're gonna catch me on this one just a little bit because.
Oh, I
like
got
said,
another one
It's a
too.
$10,000 up.
Yeah,
It's a $10,000.
It says 18.2 on here.
cut add subtotal, so it's a, the net cost is 10,000. It was 8,000 for a, they'll get back for the switch, I believe.
And it was bid out as a Toro Central controller. So that'll be that, so you'll be subtracting $8,154. And you
From
went
the
with,
18,000 and then,
Mhm.
and then you went with the Rainbird, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay,
Well, my point was, if it's only 10,000, we get some back. Is the 10,000 only for pushing the button rather than doing it manually?
Actually, what we gave is a simpler system that our operator was more familiar with. In the Rainbird, the Toro was more complex. It would have required some other
Well,
issues.
I'm raising the issue. Council can do whatever it wants. Second question is on the Holden Electric bill, page 1. Here again, sales tax 7.88%. They're charging us sales tax of $1,005. We don't pay a sales tax, right?
No, that's correct. We do pay sales tax on some things. We're not exempt completely.
Is this one, as at $1,000, I'd want to make sure that we have to pay it.
Yes, no, great question, but yes, we do.
Okay, because the last time we caught one, we didn't have to. I'm just raising the question. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Ask my wife.
you can't.
so do we expect more change orders or?
I would say the change orders are probably going, there won't be many left, if any. We're, like I told you earlier, we're nearing completion of the project. They're mostly in cleanup mode at this point. So, but the change orders too, if you'll remember, there is a contingency with the project to allow for those to occur.
Have we reached it? Do you know?
No, I
No?
don't think so.
Okay. All right. Okay,
That was my question, if there's money. So.
I apologize for not being a little bit more informed for the
Well,
transition.
Apparently I wasn't either.
I'll make a motion that we accept change order number 9 from Eagle Construction for the WWTF improvements as presented.
I'll second.
any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? Number 9, payment application number 12 from Eagle Construction. For $539,163.54.
And this is in the amount of approximately 93% of the project at this point is done. So answering a previous question about change orders, getting to the end of this project, so I don't anticipate any more change orders.
I'll move the issue.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tom, the next item is recommendation from Public Works Committee, new private road standard.
So what, so what I'm asking for here is we're gonna have Widseth review our current road standard. There's a few road widths and things that we want to try to coordinate with some of our other area jurisdictions, try to be more in line with what they're doing. And then once we have that complete, we're going to write a private road standard, and we're gonna take all of that back to the Public Works Committee. So all I'm asking you to do is approve the proposal from Widseth that was in your packet to perform that work.
Yeah, I'll move the issue and at an estimated cost not to exceed $1,750.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approve quotes from Anderson Brothers for 2021 road repairs for $22,005.22. And this is a budgeted item, Tom?
This is an annual item. You'll, if you've been with us again for a while, you'll notice that it fluctuates up and down depending on the winter that we've had the previous year and how much paving we've done recently. So actually, this is a smaller year than what we have typically. So most of this work was put together. This year was the first time Mike Deck put this together for me. He's kind of helping me out now more with some of this stuff. So it all looks pretty good to me. Like I said, it's a smaller amount. It's all budgeted for. The Public Works Committee passed it unanimously. So
Tom, I think the agenda item though might be a little misleading. So you have, I think, 3 different
Mhm.
items you would like approved.
there are, so what, 22,000 just for the small patches work under it with that. You'll notice that the crack ceiling was $4,000, $4,015.36. If you read underneath my financial implications on that, each item we're under budget on those. And then the last item was paver patches for $23,642. Again, we're under budget on that. So by $7,526.67. But these are all, like I said, significantly smaller than we normally have. Paver patches, we've spent up to $75,000 in a single year on those, just for food for thought.
So to make it easier, if the council is inclined to just approve the quotes for the 2021 road repairs, that would be great.
And that would take care of all them.
All of them, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the quotes from Anderson Brother for the 2021 road repairs as presented.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then number 12 is final pay request for Knife River for 2020 road improvements for $11,750.
So the 2 roads that this project finished up was Hazelwood Avenue and Smiley Road South by Schaefer's. Those projects are as complete as they're going to be made. Everything seems fine. I think there's a little bit of complaints about some of the seating on Hazelwood, but a lot of that has to do with survey work that's been done for the new possibility of the trail. And then also with this extremely dry year, again, grass seed does not like to grow on a roadside. So.
They actually did go out and redo a lot of it too.
They did, and it,
We had them do
for
that
what
on
it
a
is,
punch list item.
it looks good to me. I think once we get rain again, I think a lot of it will look a lot better.
Okay. So you're satisfied with it?
I am.
I'll move approval of the 2020 street improvements final pay in the amount of $11,750 as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed?
There is a small change order attached to this to finish off the job. There was some minor ditch work that had to be done.
Oh, it is attached. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
That-
that, my apologies. 10,000 of it is the retainage. It was only 1,700. Well, it was $1,750 for the ditch work we did by the gentleman's house that we'll be having to deal with the trail. So there were some issues there.
Yeah, there was a little water
It's
pond.
more of a
issue.
temporary fix until, because there are some drainage issues that'll need to be taken care of more aggressively when we do the trail project. This will suffice in case the trail project didn't go through, but we will be doing a little bit more aggressively ditch work there when the trail goes through.
So in addition to the 11,750, you're saying the change order is an extra 1,750?
No, that's in addition to the $10,000 retainage that we had on the project, so which $1,750, so that the total would be 17. You got me a little bit. there. So
750.
Total
It's
would be
just there's-
$11,750, excuse me.
There's just technically two different things, the final pay and the change order. So if the council can just approve the change order for 1750.
So can I get a motion to approve the change order for 1750?
so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Recommendation from Public Works. Request for lift station 12 feasibility study proposal.
So what this is, as I mentioned earlier tonight, we're looking at adding another significant lift station somewhere near 371 south of Schaefer's on Smiley Road. The exact location isn't known yet. That's part of what this study will look at. It'll also look at where we expect the sewer to come from in that area and where would be the best location for this new lift station to optimize its performance. So this will look at that. It'll size the lift station and get us ready to hopefully build this maybe next summer. And this was, again, recommended by the, I believe this was recommended by the Public Works Committee.
Mr. Mayor, since I don't serve on that committee, I have a few questions. We talked about the Schaefer project. That's just been kind of floated around. It's not really nailed down yet. And I'm just wondering, is this a little premature until we know a little bit more? Are we going to spend, because this money is not reimbursed us by Schaefer's or anybody else. This comes out of our sewer fund.
Correct.
So it's $27,000.
So what this does do though, Don, is it also lets us know, if you're familiar with the airport property, we've talked about that right now, there are no plans for it. I want to be very clear. There's no plans, nothing the city's working on for that, but we are allowing for the possibility that a large tract of land like that would be served by this lift station. Also, further to the east of the property, Schaefer's are considering development. There's a lot more land that could be developed also that this lift station would serve. So the study is more broad than just what Schaefer's want to do. It actually would tell us how the sewer is going to be served in that entire area for the next, for 20 years, 30 years, maybe longer. And if you recall, we've talked about, we wanted to study the sewer and roads for the next 20 to 50 years, and this fits into that.
Well, I'm just thinking it's a little premature for that price that I feel a little more comfortable spending that money when it's coalesced a little bit more than it is right now. That's my feeling.
I will say one more thing with that. So no matter what the land is developed as, the lift station
Understand.
design really wouldn't change.
I
So
understand.
it really sets us up well for the future. I agree with you. It's money spent. It'd be nice to have the assurance the project was going to go ahead. But there is some urgency too on the part of the developer for Schaefer's. So if we don't do this, I can't build the lift. I can't guarantee we're going to get the lift station built on time for them either.
So right now, in order to get sewer, the sewer that comes down from South Smiley goes where? Goes all the way,
So currently, if you know where the brewery is,
mhm,
that's the farthest south our sewer comes.
okay,
Anywhere past that to the south, we'll need some kind of new system to make it connect to the city sewer system.
okay. So where does from the brewery north then, that all flows where?
Okay, so that all flows past the Schaefer's grocery store down towards Subway, and then it ultimately ties into our lift station one on Hazelwood Avenue. And that pumps down Lower Roy Lake Road to the sewer plant.
So all those businesses, so if I remember correctly, Wendy's and Holiday both had to bore under the highway
Correct.
to hook to that line.
Yes.
We put a station in down on the south end where we're talking potentially somewhere wherever it goes down there. That will go where, up the north side and hook into one, or that will go under the highway?
It would connect to one. As we understand it, that's part of what this study is going to figure out, is to make sure that that's the optimum route for that. But at this time, we believe that is probably how we'll go.
All right.
Where will the money come from? The 27.8?
This would come from our sewer fund. Yes.
I will make the motion that we move ahead with the recommendation from the Public Works Committee, request for lift station 12 feasibility study, not to exceed 27,800 as presented.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Anyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Memo from Jenny, proposal for Woodset City Hall facility study.
Thank you. So this item piggybacks a little bit on our discussion earlier this evening regarding our budget planning and using City Hall as a way to go through this process to kind of determine what the needs are. We'd like to look at all things from just maintaining what we have and ensuring that it's in the proper condition to last us, 20 more years. And then there are also some ideas that we have to also help improve the function and the layout of the building that we would like to pursue with Woodset. And basically they would present all items from the let's maintain what we have scenario to let's look at making some changes into the future so that this building is really functional for staff. It'd be a great place for the public to use. I have some ideas for maybe some public spaces. We've had people come in and just want to need to use a conference room once in a while for something, things like that. So this would be a starting point for us. I'm hopeful also to use some of the information in the format that Woodset presents us in for other city buildings in the future, so that we can take this information and use it going forward as well. Any questions or?
Well, I noticed some of the things you have listed on here. IT system, security systems, efficiency, safety, reconfigurations, ventilation. Would some of the money that we have been given from the federal government for the COVID relief thing, would that be eligible for this?
Yes, it certainly could.
Okay,
So we can definitely look at that once we have some cost estimates to see if there are things we could use that for.
that was my question. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memo from Jenny Mack's proposal for Widseth for City Hall facility study. Not to exceed 12,500.
I'll second that, but the caveat that I think we're doing a lot of studies, spending a lot of money on studies that we should look at that a little closer. We should not be, have to spend that much money to get the results that we're looking for. Maybe I'm just contrary tonight. It bothers me.
I don't disagree with you, Don. I don't disagree with you, but you know, then again, like we've talked how many times, the city in the past has worked itself into how many corners by not planning ahead.
I understand that, yeah.
And then we end up spending either
More money.
more money or we end up not being able to do something because we shot ourselves in the foot. But that being said, I mean, I would really like to see how much of this can be done or under that, and or, you know, we can get reimbursed through the COVID money for it, especially.
And this is only a study. This is not doing any of the work.
Right,
So
right.
it's only money. Remember that. It's only money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think as we're looking at growth, future growth, 10, 20 years from now. Yes, it is money for studies. And like the mayor said, we don't want to get caught behind the 8 ball on some of this stuff. Want to be able to be ready to go. That's where I sit.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
Mhm.
All those in, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. Engineer, a memo from the city administrator for engineering services for roundabout.
So last month, I brought to the council that I would like to put together an RFP after discussing the project with the county highway department and with Grandview. And so this is a result of the request for proposals for the roundabout project. I have sent it to Tim Bray at the county and Mark Ronne at Grandview. They both, I believe they both didn't have any concerns with really the substance of the RFP. We're still working on the dates just to make sure those work for everyone and that those are good to go. So there may be a few minor things like that I want to adjust for before it officially goes out to the public. But I did want to get your approval on the RFP, answer any questions. And once we get this out to the public, then we'll get this project going, which will be exciting. So any questions?
I'll move we authorize city administrator to go out for a request for proposals for roundabout at CSAH 77 and Nokomis Avenue.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? Old business, we have none. Mayor reports, I have none. Council, done.
I have none unusual. I don't have it.
Announcements, August 19th, CASA 115 public hearing. Will be here, hosted by Crow Wing County. 25th is the Public Works Committee. 31st, we have our council budget workshop and that will be a special meeting, correct? For the item that was tabled today. And then the second, Parks and Rec. Planning Commission. You can find all this on the website. And I will say it once again, if anybody wants to get involved, please, planning and zoning can be very interesting.
Contentious.
Interesting. Anyway, I'll
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Oh, my.